That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Inside Out 2, the directorial debut of Kelsey Mann, which Walt Disney Studios is releasing June 14th, 2024.
So that's interesting that the director of the first one didn't come back.
Pete Docter, no.
But this is really impressive as a directorial debut.
Mm-hmm. And the original, of course, came out in 2015, so we're damn near a decade later.
What is this film about? We follow Riley in her teenage years as she encounters new emotions. What's your pull quote?
Although not as emotionally potent as its predecessor, this well-written but overtly prudent exploration of the emotional chaos inherent to the adolescent mind is a faithfully poignant follow-up.
Mine. Impeccable writing makes Inside Out 2 a joy to behold. I really did enjoy this movie.
I did as well, yes.
Straight out the gate, I'm a little confused because I recall the first one being very emotional, and we saw it like at a screening. There were kids, and kids were crying, and adults were crying. So clearly it has some appeal to children, I guess. This one feels, to me, even like I just don't see kids enjoying it. I thoroughly enjoyed it as an adult. It feels very smart. But there weren't many moments where I thought, I could see kids getting...
Not for small children, for sure. It's definitely more advanced, and the ideas going on, I think, would be reserved for, I guess, precocious children. The kind of children I can't stand.
But in the first film, we met Riley as a younger kid, and her family moves from Minnesota to San Francisco, and that film's about her adjusting to that experience. In this film, we see Riley is transitioning to her freshman year of high school, and we basically spend like a long weekend with her, and a lot of things are happening because she's going off to this 3-day summer camp with her two best friends, and she finds out her two best friends are not going to be going to the same high school as her. So she has feelings about that. But the bigger thing is that Riley has hit puberty. So she has a new wave of emotions. So her core emotions that we met in the first film were joy, disgust, anger, fear. But when puberty...
Sadness.
When puberty comes in, like a wrecking ball, literally destroying the control board, because visually Riley's internal feelings are represented by looks like the Starship Enterprise, right? So then we get a new control board with new emotions, and these new emotions are led by anxiety. And then we have embarrassment,
envy, and
ennui, which is like boredom. And that was my favorite emotion. But the weekend is really focused on Riley because she feels abandoned by her friends, so she thinks, and anxiety is leading the ship, so she thinks she needs to get in with the popular girl who's a senior, and she's like the captain of the hockey team. And what's special about this girl, Val, is that she made the varsity team freshman year because she performed really well in this same 3-day camp. So now Riley is like really gunning to do better than Val in that final game that weekend. But the emotions, they're kind of fighting because anxiety takes over. It's like anxiety overthrows joy and then banishes joy.
She bottles them up and banishes them to the back of her mind.
Of Riley's mind. So the bulk of the movie is the core emotions trying to get back to the control panel so they can stop anxiety, because anxiety's tripping. And the film ends with Riley at this big game, and she's playing too hard. She's not being considerate to her friends or her team members. Yeah. So, but joy and the other emotions make it back. And something that's new in this film is the idea of a sense of self. And the sense of self is represented as like this really pretty installation.
Like core values that she's established of herself.
And the core values we see of little Riley, like what had been occupying that space, are like she's a kind, loving, sweet person. But when anxiety takes over, there's a lot more like jealousy and anger and selfishness.
And that culminates in an extreme sense of doubt.
So joy is able to take over anxiety, but they still can't change Riley's sense of self. And that's when all of the emotions realize that they cannot choose who Riley is. She does. So in the end, Riley's sense of self is neither the original one Joy wanted, nor the one anxiety created. It's a combination of all her feelings. So then we see Riley, because during this time Riley has like a panic attack at the hockey game, but then she gets out of it. She realizes she was rude and mean, apologizes, and then we see that she goes on to make the varsity team and make new friends and stay connected to her old ones. So Riley's on a good track. The end.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the writing and the characters.
Same. Mm-hmm.
I think this movie is excellent. I have two thoughts. The first one is not really like against the film. It's just I'm so curious what children would think of this film.
I'm not really curious what children would think, but I would assume that they wouldn't gravitate towards it because it seems a little advanced.
But a gripe is that, any like TGIF sitcom in the 90s, the episode about puberty feels more like all-encompassing and thorough than this does. Like all the things that you would think a teenage girl hitting puberty would experience and talk about, this film either doesn't touch on at all or like barely passes by.
I mean, to be fair, it's only covering like 3 days of this girl's puberty journey, but it does feel like it's playing it safe as compared to something I think that it would be more beneficial for like young women to see, which would be like, "Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret."
And again, I understand it's a Pixar Disney film and like it would probably appeal to kids, but I mean, just straight out the gate, I thought that it feels like the 3-day summer camp should have been a full summer camp. And then we get to see Riley change over the summer as puberty hits. And we don't have to get super, graphic about all the things that puberty involves, but it just really doesn't. I mean, we see her realize that her underarms smell, like briefly, and then we see her have a little bit of anxiety about the locker room situation and having to get naked. And then she gets a pimple on her chin, but never mentions it. And then there's no mention of her being attracted to another person. Even her emotions, they do rage in the beginning, like briefly. But then for the bulk of the film, we really don't see her act out.
No, but to be fair, like even the first film, it's about focusing on the emotions rather than the physical or biological changes that are happening. But when you're talking about it's almost like you wanted to see it be a little more complex, especially with this story about a young girl hitting puberty, and that is also, the film is making a choice by having her in this kind of very masculine realm as well with what she's choosing to be, with what she's interested in. So I don't know. I feel like there are some more interesting choices it could have made, but that being said, I think it's still highly enjoyable and has some really nice moments.
It's very well written. I just think the story, I wish would have been a little edgier, but again, I understand it's a animated Pixar film rated PG, but yeah, I don't have many notes because I think, it would have just all been cute moments. But one major thing is that we see initially Joy, who's voiced by Amy Poehler. Mm-hmm. Because she wants everything to be happy, she has this idea in regards to Riley's memories that we keep the best and toss out the rest. And that's where the back of the mind comes in. Mm-hmm. So they have like that vacuum chute that they used to have at the bank drive-thrus, or maybe they still do, where she shoots Riley's bad memories. So now there's this huge pool of awful memories, or cringy memories. But that's where anxiety sends the crew.
That's where they get trapped. They initially get sent to the vault, like heavy duty lockup.
I thought one of the funnier moments of the film, and probably the moment that younger kids would appreciate, is the vault is where they keep like secrets, kind of
guilty pleasures.
Like guilty pleasures, and so that's where we find that Riley, she used to like this TV show that I guess is kind of like Blue's Clues.
Yeah.
But the characters are named Bluefy. And Bluefy is played by Ron Funches, or voiced by Ron Funches, which I thought was really funny. And the animation for that character is like old school cartoon.
Yeah.
And then he wears a fanny pack called Pouchy.
Which that anime, it's almost nightmarish. Though.
It is. It's like Ren and Stimpy-ish.
Yeah.
But I thought those characters are really funny. Pouchy in particular. Because Pouchy's only real function is that he has stuff. He says like, I have some stuff I think you could use, and he pulls out stuff from his pouch, and it's always three things, and two of them have no purpose, and then the third thing is always dynamite, which does end up helping in the end. But that's one sort of guilty pleasure. Another is this like video game character who's like this hunky, like Legend of Zelda looking thing. He's like old school video games, so he doesn't move very well and doesn't have any real powers. But Riley thinks he's cute, so he's there, and I thought his moments were funny. And also in the vault is Riley's deep dark secret, which we don't learn what it is during the movie, but in the post-credits scene, we learn that Riley's deep dark secret is that she burned a hole in a rug once. That was a bit of a... Because we waited through the entire end credits.
We did, and then when we learned what it was going to be like, what it was kind of exciting, but then that's it? Okay.
There's one emotion I didn't mention, which I thought was really cute, is that part of the new emotions that show up is nostalgia.
June Squibb, she only has 2 moments.
But they're really cute because when she pops up, they're like,
you are several years away at a graduation and several other ceremonies before you need to come up to the control panel.
That's the first time. And the second time she pops up, they're like, nope, still too early. And she's like, okay, I'll see y'all later. But she's like this cute old lady.
With a cup of tea.
There are so many fun details in this movie. Like when anxiety banishes the core emotions, she puts them in a glass jar. And then embarrassment punches holes in the lid like you would do when you collect bugs as a kid. Yeah. I thought that was really cute. Oh my gosh. So Ennui is voiced by
Adèle Exarchopoulos, and I leaned over to you and I'm like, I bet that's Adèle.
And it is. And oh god, the way that character is handled is so cute because it's bored. So it's always kind of like its posture, and also it's too lazy to get up to the control panel, so it has an iPhone with the control panel app.
She's too cool, yeah.
But her big moment is that there's something happening and everyone's panicking, like we don't know what to do. And Ennui walks up to the control board and goes, "Oh, I've been waiting my entire life for this." And that's when we realize it's the first time that Riley is sarcastic. And within Riley's body, sarcasm looks like the Grand Canyon.
It creates a sarcasm, which I thought was super cute.
I thought that was really cute. And even Ennui gets to do it again because a couple of times. Well, because that sarcasm, the canyon at first is because she's hanging out with the older kids, and they're asking her what kind of music she likes, and she says like a kids band, and they're kind of making fun of her, and that's when she uses sarcasm. And then we get it again at the very end of the film when her parents ask her, "So how was your 3-day camp?" And she's running through all the emotions, and then Ennui goes, "I got it," and then she just goes, "It was okay."
Oh, and the parents are voiced again by Diane Lane and Kyle MacLachlan, which I find funny because they have nothing to do. And the core emotions, Bill Hader was fear in the old one, and Mindy Kaling was disgust, and they've been replaced this time.
Oh. So part of the journey, when the core emotions get banished to the vault and then they run through like the back of the mind, they get to Imagination Land. And that's where we see that anxiety has commissioned Imagination Land, like workers in Imagination Land, to draw, like influence Riley with like worst case scenarios.
Endless worst case scenarios, which are really ruminations, so she can't sleep.
So she's having trouble sleeping, but then Joy shows up and she convinces the workers like this is not what Riley needs. And I thought that was a really cute scene. And then anxiety's yelling at, because she's like, anxiety's like, what are all these happy emotions? And then it occurs to her like, joy. It's joy. Joy has broken out of the vault.
Maya Hawke is kind of the star of this one as anxiety.
And the way anxiety looks is really cute.
Was giving me anxiety.
Yes.
I thought anxiety looked like Harry Connick Jr. as a Fraggle Rock character.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But very cute, but also alarming because she keeps sucking down these drinks called Zoom.
Yes. Yes. Sadness kind of, she's kind of like the hero kind of, because she's the one who because the core emotions, they can't all get up to the control center. Only one person can fit to then recall those old feelings and memories. So they choose sadness to go. And then she kind of has a bond with embarrassment, and embarrassment helps her. So I thought, sadness really stepped it up this installment.
Which is voiced by Phyllis Smith, who is, I think, I'm glad they kept her.
Yes.
Fear and anxiety also seem to kind of have a bond.
Yes. So it's funny how they all work together. And then in the end, I didn't get as emotional, like your pull quote says, not nearly as emotional as the first film. The only moment I got kind of emotional was when anxiety, like at the climax, anxiety is tripping, pressing all the buttons, going at 100 miles an hour, and creates like a cyclone.
And so is stuck.
And is stuck, and no one can get in, but joy breaks into the anxiety's cloud. And you see anxiety, just like the look on its face, and then one tear falls. And I thought, oh, that's how it feels.
That's
like
how it
when you're
feels.
spiraling, and then something breaks through to kind of. But then even when you want to snap out of it, you can't. And in this film, anxiety does get out of, like, remove itself from the control panel, but it's already too late. Like they're spiraling. So that's when they have to adjust Riley's sense of self. I thought that sequence felt very adult, and I just would love to see kids watching that sequence. Like, what do they think is happening right now? Because it's not funny.
The other scene that kind of got me was when Amy Poehler's Joy has the realization, like, oh, maybe that's what growing up is. You need less of me. You need less joy, or you get less joy.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
What else would you say about this film?
But I mean, there's nothing that's like that moment of Richard Kind as that character named Bing Bong.
Oh, I don't remember.
Like with his ending point in the first film, that like was very upsetting.
Oh.
or moving is the better word. But so I didn't have a moment quite like that, but I still think that it's just very well done for what it is.
This would be a movie that I could watch on every flight, like every 2-hour flight. I could put it on and be happy.
And Riley as a teenager was giving me Sydney Sweeney vibes.
Oh, she gets braces. And it's cute because her teeth she kind of has buck teeth and the two fronts are a little crooked. So she's really cute. What would you give Inside Out 2?
4.
I thought it was excellent. I would give Inside Out 2 4 out of 5. Join us on Patreon and listen to our podcast. Bye.